5.5 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock, it's AM Springfield, or should we say Lincoln. I'm Jeff Hoffman. Paul Packelhopper back at the studio in the round. And there's Sam Madonia, and we're live at the AlleyBi Saloon here in Lincoln. Good morning, sir.
I don't hear anything, my buddy, but I very soon will. Good morning, everybody. How are you? We are live at the AlleyBi. Nice to have you with us on 1450. It's AM Lincoln today, and we were here. This is the third year in a row we've been here prior to the holiday season. This is about as close as we've ever been to being in Lincoln this close to Christmas. AlleyBi is one of them. We're going to visit with Cindy Singleton in just a minute. She is owner-operator of this place. It's a great tradition. It's truly one of Lincoln's most popular night spots, day spots, whatever. The food is outstanding. You've heard about the burgers forever, and they are the real deal. And people come from Springfield. They just said, in fact, you just told me there's a couple from Springfield in here earlier this week or late last week. Great place, great burgers. I've not had all the hamburgers in the world, but I can tell you this is as good as I've ever had. And it has been around forever and ever. It's right downtown, half a block off the square. If you want to stop in today, we're going to be here till 9 o'clock, and we would love 18 minutes past the hour, we're live at the AlleyBi. What'd they just tell us? Hi, John Welch. How are you?
Good morning, Sam.
What'd they tell us? This building's over 100 years old?
Yeah, about the same age as me and you.
Absolutely. We can see it.
Yeah.
We can see 100. At one time, we couldn't. John and I, long time, worked together. I was talking with somebody, Dick Romer, who graduated 62, and I was with him yesterday a little bit, and we were talking about this place, talking about Lincoln, talking about Beeson. How many years were you the head basketball coach at Beeson?
Oh, 3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
And that was in the early to mid-'70s.
Yeah, 72 to 75.
Were you an assistant out there at all?
No, I was a coach in the grade school from 68 to 72.
Okay.
And then took over for Tom Chitwood, who went down to Stephen Decatur.
That's the name. That's one of the names. Now, was Mike Aiken ever involved?
Mike Aiken was there when I first got there as the grade school coach. Mike was a head high school coach.
I did not realize. I knew he was out there. I didn't know that's when it was. All right, let's go back to you personally. You're from, what is it?
Oh,
Flora? Where?
Clay City.
Clay City.
Land of eternal sunshine.
How did you end up in Lincoln? Sometimes you ask yourself that.
Yeah,
sometimes other people have asked that.
It's George Janet's fault.
That's it. No, seriously, how did you end up? You went to Murray, probably?
Went to Murray.
Okay.
Graduated in 68.
Right.
Came out. Vietnam War was going on.
Uh-huh.
My aunt's mother was on the head of the secretary of the draft board,
Okay.
which didn't help any.
No, it didn't help at all, right.
So I came home after graduation. They got set up for the physical, and she said, well, if you can find a teaching job, you don't have to go. So I started applying every single place I could. Got an interview at Beeson, came up. George Janet, talked to him. He says, we got a board meeting night. Why don't you stick around? Stayed around, got hired. Haven't ever left.
Unbelievable. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
George Janet hired you, who was on to be regional superintendent.
Yeah.
So we'll blame George.
Blame George and Lenny.
Now where's George? George is in Florida, right?
Yeah, down at the Villages.
That's right. Full-time, lives down there full-time?
Yep.
He and his wife Claire moved down there full-time to the Villages. All right, so Beeson, and then what was your reaction? Did you guys figure one time that Beeson was going to close, and did you think you guys were going to head to Mount Pulaski, or did you know it was going to be Lincoln all the while?
You know what? It really came in a hurry.
It did?
Yeah. Once they figured out, well, we can't survive. And then Lincoln says, well, we'll take you. They looked at all that farm ground.
Oh, boy, absolutely. All that evaluation.
Yeah, 15 students and $15 million. So.
That's right. That's what you've done. No, because the high school had probably 60, 70 kids at the time?
At most.
At the most?
Yeah. 70.
And most of the staff came over?
No, actually, only 3 of us came over.
Really?
Yeah.
Some of them?
Retired, went someplace else, got out of teaching.
I'll be darned. I didn't know there was only 3.
Well, actually 4.
Well, counting Mr. Hagerman.
Yeah.
Harry the Hat.
Harry the Hat.
He came over, and absolutely. Okay, so you came over to Lincoln. What sports did you coach originally?
Assistant to Lauren.
In basketball to Lauren Wallace.
Right, originally.
He gave you one job when you came over, and that was to bring Jeff Clemens.
Yes.
And you failed miserably.
And I failed miserably on that one.
Let's be honest.
Of course, Jeff went on to great things.
Yes, and the next year they win the state championship.
Yeah.
So did he play for you as a freshman?
Yes, he did.
How good was he?
He is one of those few guys who could go up a level.
Really?
If he was playing against, and I don't mean any disrespect or anything, but New Holland.
Sure.
he played at that level. If he played against Lanphier, he went up to that level. He was one of the very few that could really do that.
If he would have come over, he would have played with Verderber.
Right.
People can only imagine in Lincoln what that would have been like. That would have been incredible to see. How did their games differ, John? You obviously sat on the bench. You watched Verderber for 3 years. You coached Clemens, even though he went to Pulaski. You watched him. Were they different players? Could they have complemented each other at the same time on the basketball court?
Oh yeah. Clemens could go inside, outside. He'd rebound. They'd have complemented each other great, because Chuck could have roamed inside and done what he did best, and Clemens could have helped on the outside.
So am I correct in saying, and 98% of the students here at Beeson came to Lincoln?
Correct.
But the 2%, one of them being Jeff Clemens, went elsewhere.
Yeah, Jeff and his sister went to Mount Pulaski.
That was the 2% to
that was the 2% to Pulaski.
How did that work, John? Was the farmland on the border? Or give us a little background. There's been a lot of stories about that over the years.
Right. The farm that his dad farmed was right on the border.
Right.
And because it was on the border, they could go either way.
Okay.
And
did the owner of the land make the call then?
No, he left it up to Larry.
Really?
But at the same time, it was, there was some talk between the two of them on taxes.
Sure.
And so Larry, I guess now after all these years, can be said that him and Don Vandersnick had a conversation in my front room.
Really? And Don Vandersnick was the coach at Lincoln at the time.
Right. And it came down to Larry just saying, I think we'll go to Mount Pulaski just because I don't want to lose the farm. If I go to Lincoln and the taxes go way up, the owner may say, hey.
Wow.
So,
John, to this day, that's a story that's never been told, that they met in your living room. You, Coach Van, Don Vandersnick, who was second year, who ended up losing the job anyway because he went 7-17 that year. And you were not here at Lincoln yet. You were still coaching, still at Beeson. In 75. That was the year you guys closed the door over there. Wow, so that's what it was. Larry Clemens decided then that maybe if the taxes went up, different school districts, different tax rates, he could go to Pulaski and be a lower tax rate.
Right, and the landowner would probably be more happy.
How many different guys did you coach under? Basketball.
Lauren
Wallace, of course.
Cal
Hubbard.
Neil.
Alexander.
And Mr. Fultz.
And Donnie. Okay. How did, let's just talk, let me do the two guys that have the Nokomis connection. How did Lauren's philosophy and Neil Alexander's differ, or did it?
It was a lot alike. Cover everything that should be covered and work on it until you got it down, and don't leave anything out.
What preparation was the key?
Yeah.
I mean, Lauren had a little note card, as I recall, and he knew at 3:35 you were doing this, and at 3:45 you were doing that.
Absolutely, every day. So did Neil.
Would it be safe to say that with Lauren anyway, and I'm more familiar with you working with Lauren than with Neil, there was a good cop, bad cop. Lauren was always the bad cop when coaching, and you would be the good cop.
Yeah. But
is that fair to say?
Yeah. But I think in that situation, the head coach has got to do certain things where the assistant coach is able to go over and put his arm around people and kid with them in the locker room.
And that's what you did.
That.
You were very good at that, obviously. And I know that you had sometimes Lauren would be a little harsh on his own son, Jeff Wallace. And you
that might be an understatement.
And you would intervene.
Yeah.
You would intervene and go talk to Jeff and bring him back to the ranch and so on. And, and that was one of the. And I don't know if you were told to do that, but that's simply that's just what you did.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that worked very well.
I've asked before. There was a chance when Cal Hubbard left, you were talked about. To you, John Welch, and I say this with all sincerity, is probably the most talented guy who never was a head basketball coach at Lincoln that probably should have been. You had an opportunity when Cal Hubbard left, and you decided not to do it. Why?
Well, under Cal and under Lauren, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I just didn't want to do that. There were some other things that I wanted to do in life rather than spend all the time in the gymnasium. I didn't mind doing it in practice, and whenever we had to or whenever we want to. But Denise Alexander told a story one time that was really, maybe gets down to it. They walked into a wedding, and Tammy was like 3 or 4 years old, and she looked up and said, "Mom, where's the baskets?" Wow. When they walked into church. And she said, that has been their life. That's Barb and Lauren's life.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You know? And I wasn't willing to make that commitment of 24/7.
And you knew that.
Yeah.
You admitted that to yourself, and that made it easy.
Yeah, it was. There's just too many other things that I had fun doing.
Absolutely, and you still do.
Well, yeah.
just maybe not as well.
No, I don't do them as well or as often.
Or as often, John. That's exactly right. We don't do them as well or as often, that's for sure. Okay, so you got out. You retired from teaching. How many years you been out now for you?
Oh, God. 10?
10 years?
Something like
How many
that.
years did you get in all the way? 30-some?
33. 1 year sick leave.
I say this a lot, and some guys agree. Most people agree, some don't. I don't think you're going to see as many guys, and maybe women also, stay in the profession as teaching for the 30-plus years like you used to.
So.
Why do you think? Did you see it change even your last couple of years from what it was?
Sam, when we were there early, the day went very quickly because you could go in the lounge. The lounge is always one of those places where, a lot of things has happened.
Mental relaxation. Don Miller always called it his mental hygiene. You go in the teacher's lounge in his free period, right, and bounce back.
As you know, the last couple of years you were there, and then especially the last few I was there, you go in the teacher's lounge, nobody's there.
Yeah.
And so there wasn't any reaction between the teachers.
Not much camaraderie left. You're exactly right. That's a good point.
And you know what? Walking in that classroom day after day after day and having to perform.
Right.
And
that's what you did.
Yeah.
You had to perform. That's a good word.
And
absolutely.
Because they came. They're there. They're sitting. And if you don't perform, they're going to eat you alive.
You got it exactly right. How about the coaching? Not a lot of guys and gals going to stay in that very long, John.
No. You know what? It's sad, but everybody, and I'm not picking on anybody here, but everybody thinks their son or daughter's going to get a full ride and play in the major leagues or NBA. And,
you got it.
You
got it.
It's too bad that parents can't look at their children and be honest. It's one of those things. Ron Ross always said, I'll get back in coaching when there's an orphanage.
That's right. Moose Heart, baby.
Moose Heart.
Duncan Reed said, best job in the world. Ain't no parent's going to bother you at Moose Heart. That's exactly right. Absolutely. More help. That's Becknell. So
Atlanta's here now.
The Atlanta Red walks in the joint. So anyway, you and your wife ran the Dairy Queen for a while here in
7
town
years.
when you got out of teaching.
7 years.
Was there anything that prepared you, anything in teaching that prepared you for that job?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Really?
It's a completely different world. I marvel at everybody who owns a business.
Yes.
And who puts in the time. Next thing you know, it's 24 hours. You're just worrying about something or getting prepared or whatever. But you own your own business.
How tough was the help situation and something like that?
Oh, help was wonderful.
Because you knew all the kids.
Right.
You knew who to hire.
Anybody who applied, the only place we had applications was in Mitzi's room, in the science wing of Lincoln High School.
His wife was a teacher at the high school.
So if you didn't know where the science room was at, you weren't going to go to work for Dairy Queen to start with. And so from there, once they applied, then Mitzi would always go to teacher's lounge and start talking, okay, how about this kid, how about that kid?
Yeah.
So by the time they got to our manager, we pretty well knew
who you were going to hire.
Yeah. A lot of athletes.
You're now very much involved with the Elks Club here in Lincoln. And I'm not sure that is your choice, but what's going on? The Elks Club has always been kind of an interesting phenomenon here in Lincoln. You have been part of it. You've been members. It's had its good times. It's had its times that are not so good. What are we going through right now, John?
We're going through a transition period right now.
Okay.
We're struggling.
Let's talk about the golf business.
Right.
Is it down a little bit?
No, our golf business is
Golf
fine.
is okay.
It's fine. If you
just had a golf course, you'd be okay.
If we had just golf, tennis, and the pool, we would be wonderful.
Even the pool's okay now.
Oh yeah, we've got enough members where the pool can support itself just from the pool members.
Really? Okay, so that's good.
A lot of young families with kids.
Sure.
And doing that.
Right.
So,
but the restaurant part, the ballroom, the dining room?
Well, the dining room and the restaurant part was always one of those that was part of a club scene,
mm-hmm.
but it was costly, and a lot of members didn't support it, and so it was always a drag on what was going on. We're in the process right now of signing a lease with a man from Clinton,
mm-hmm.
and so we won't have that expense. He'll have that expense, and he's the restaurant.
He's going to lease it from you and then just operate it and give you a certain percent or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. How about the golf pro? Is he still going to stay? You've had a golf pro for 2 years. What's the story on him?
He's gone.
He's gone.
And so we're getting ready to look for, I think, a general manager.
Okay.
We'll go that way. The executive committee hasn't decided exactly what it's going to be, but that will be a good job for somebody. And we just lost our superintendent. He's moving on to Crestwick.
Wow.
And so, but there's 5 or 6 out there right now who have already got in contact with us, and good ones, because they're looking for jobs. Like that business Crane Creek is closing. So,
yes, that's what I heard over at Kilbourne, right? Right. I heard Crane Creek is closing. Crane Creek is closing. Yes.
So we're not in any trouble. I mean, we're in pretty good shape. We just got to replace some people and gear up and start in a different direction.
What's been the secret of the AlleyBi over the years?
Oh.
Why have they stayed so successful?
Because it hadn't changed a whole lot. Tradition.
Really?
Yeah.
Burgers as good as ever?
Burgers as good as ever. Just anytime you want to come in and have one, you know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be ready. Normally, friendly staff.
Yeah, normally.
Normally. Depends on who's behind the bar late at night. But
that's right. May not be so friendly. In 1975, when you left Beeson and came to Lincoln, and if somebody said, John Welch, you're going to still be there 36 years later.
Boy.
What would you have been your reaction? Would you have believed it?
I'd have moved to Broadwell and been fire chief.
That's exactly right.
Since Duncan was leaving, I'd take his job at fire
Duncan
chief.
always said, Broadwell. Man, I want to be the superintendent at Broadwell. No pressure. No pressure whatsoever. That's the greatest job in the world. Be the superintendent at Broadwell. No pressure.
Correct.
No, you never thought you think you'd stay? Well, once you married Mitzi, though, you knew you would, I guess.
Well, even then, for a few years, it was like, maybe 3 or 4, it was like, okay, we'll do this, we'll get some years in, we'll start applying for head jobs around.
Yeah.
We talked about it 3 times. It was always funny. I said, well, let's go north of I-80.
Yeah.
She said, you go ahead and get a job. I can get one any day. You can't.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And then after 3 or 4 years with Lauren, it got real comfortable being an assistant coach.
Uh-huh.
Come in the gym, practice started as soon as the game's over with. Engel and I was off someplace.
Absolutely.
And we didn't have the worries and everything. So it got very, very comfortable. And after that, it just, a couple kids, growing up.
How's your family doing? By speaking of the kids, what are they doing?
JD's in Fairbanks, Alaska.
He's career military?
Yeah, he's got 22 years in.
Oh, come on, that's impossible.
17. He was 17 when he left Lincoln. And
he's got 22 years in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations to him.
He spent about 10 years with the Rangers in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
When 9/11 happened, about 3 weeks later, he disappeared. Didn't hear from him until Christmas, or until Thanksgiving. And he spent about 9-10 years behind enemy lines someplace.
Oh, my gosh.
We have no clue where. He'd just disappear all of a sudden and come back and, where you been? I can't tell you.
Can't tell you. Yeah, I've got a son-in-law the same way.
Yeah.
They can't talk a lot about their experience. He was an airborne ranger also.
Yeah.
And what about the rest of the family? How's everybody doing?
Brittany
in Springfield somewhere?
Springfield.
Right.
Works for, she's always mad at me because I can't remember the name of the company, but they sell minutes on telephones and stuff like that, and I own a couple companies. And Dia's now working out of East Peoria. She's a bank examiner. And I don't think she likes the job a whole lot, but she likes the money. So
that'll work, absolutely.
That works real good.
Right.
And Stress is still down at Murray State.
Stress. That's what you call your son.
Yes. That's and everybody in Lincoln knows it. Stress is on his way home. Or
his real name was?
Pete.
And he played basketball at Lincoln, but you called him Stress. Any particular reason?
That's the only purpose he had in life, was cause me stress.
So you call him Stress.
Yeah, we don't know what year he's in down at Murray, but he's down there. Him and his dog, and they're having a wonderful time. And
good for them.
And Mother's having a wonderful time supporting him in school. And
good for them. You do a little trade. You just got back from Vegas?
Got back from Vegas.
Who'd you go out with?
A guy named Tom Lewis from Springfield.
Uh-huh.
We went out and bet on the ponies, and
Yeah.
now our
Like
money.
you can't do that here in
Oh no.
That's what Alice says. Why do you go and sit in a horse race book in Vegas? You can do that at OTB.
Yeah. Well, it's just not the same.
No, it's not.
You can't get dollar beers in OTB.
OTB. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Hey, always good to talk to you, my friend.
Nice going, Sam.
Good to see you, baby. Good. One of the best. John Welch stops by to say hello. We're live in Lincoln. It's 36 past the hour.